Welcome to the Weha.com Roundtable. I am John Lyons, joined as always by the managing editor of Weha.com, Ronnie Newton.
Good morning.
We have a short day show that we're going to be repeating several times over the next couple of weeks. And our guest for this show is Leon Davidoff, who is the town clerk for West Hartford. And he is here to share us with his information pertaining to the 2023 municipal elections and preview the ballots and the districts with us, which have changed. I think this is our third time through under the new districts, but we'll get into that. The election is less than 2 weeks from now. It's on November 7th, so please mark your calendar now to vote. You're going to be voting for candidates for all of our local town offices. So, Leon,
good morning, John. Good morning, Ronnie. Great to see you.
I think I'm trying to think back. Have we ever had you on the show before?
I believe not.
I know. How did that not happen?
It's quite all right.
So, so anyway, all right. So we've got some things we're going to show the audience. So Leon's the town clerk, and he oversees basically the election. I'm not doing a good job.
So John, to be totally honest, our office, town clerk's office, oversees the absentee ballot portion of the election process. The Register of Voters handles election day activities. They get the poll workers. They are responsible for reporting the results. But we handle the absentee ballot, and we also work with those who have to vote by supervised balloting. So that's our little role in this whole thing.
And you ultimately certify the election
town clerk
results, right?
as the ultimate certifier of the election.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's start with absentee mail-in ballots. If somebody's watching right now, they're in college up in Boston or traveling, or they know they're going to be in town. What do they do? How does it work?
Okay, so there's two ways. If they have access to the internet, we advise that you go to either our website or the Secretary of State's website and fill out an application electronically. If you go to the Secretary of State's website, that information that you provide can be verified, and there will be no signature required because you will have already provided a signature to perhaps DMV. So then we get that, it comes right into our electronic system. We download that application, we immediately send out a ballot. If you go to our town website and you print out a absentee ballot, we need a wet signature on that, and then we'll mail it out. As we're less than 2 weeks out, we would encourage people to try that Secretary of State's website first.
Is that something new this year?
No, we've had that in the past.
Okay.
And then if you are in town between the hours of 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, stop right in. We can give you an application, and you can vote right there and then, and you can just pass it in, and it's considered in-person voting, and we'll open that ballot. We'll turn all the ballots over to the Register of Voters on Election Day, and you'll be all set, and that's when that ballot will be counted.
Okay. So I know it can be confusing because there's you can vote ahead of time, but it's considered in person, and yet you can vote absentee. So you've got a lot of different angles.
It's still coming in to request the absentee ballot in person. It's still considered absentee ballot voting. Okay?
Right. We don't have in-person voting actually.
Right.
We don't have
implemented yet.
early voting.
Right.
We don't have that yet.
Right.
That's
Okay.
right.
That's
have
coming
in-person.
next April with the presidential preference primary.
Somebody has a child in college. Can they come in and pick up a ballot for them, or does the child need to go to the Secretary of State site and request it?
They can pick up the ballot for someone else. They have to sign it out, and then they have to get it to them.
Pick up the ballot or pick up the
I'm sorry.
application?
Let me say it correctly.
Just, yeah.
Pick up the application. Thanks, Ryan.
Okay.
Pick up the application. It's a two-step process
Yep.
in Connecticut.
Yep. Yeah, my son is in the middle of going. He's requested, as I understand, he's requested his ballot now. I was waiting for it, and I said, "Hurry, because we're
Right, and the big thing is getting it back in time. So if the ballot needs to be received by 8 p.m. on November 7th, if it's not in the office by then, not time-stamped, it does not count if you're just a college student.
Okay, you got your ballot in hand. You're able to drop it off. Where are the collection boxes? How often are they checked?
Okay, so this election we have 2 ballot boxes that people are pretty familiar with that we used during the pandemic. There's one at Town Hall by the main entrance back there, not by the front steps, by the back. It says ballot box on it. You just open it, you put your ballot in there, you're good. We also have one at Faxon Library on New Britain Avenue, same thing. Right now we check both those boxes daily. We have people from our staff, they go and they check it. They pull out either an application or a ballot itself that somebody has voted, and they pull it and bring it back up to the office.
Are you seeing any volume whatsoever
It's
yet?
starting to get a little bit more voluminous with ballots now, less so with applications. As of this morning, I can report, and today's 10:25, as of 9:30, we issued 859 absentee ballots have been issued. 367 of them have already been returned and considered voted as of 9:30 this morning.
And how many of those dropped off in, do you have any idea how many were dropped off?
I don't know which ones are, we do know which ones are supervised, which ones are in person, which ones are in the ballot box, or which ones came in through the mail. I don't have that breakdown right now. So I just know as of 9:29 this morning, 369 ballots have been voted. So I've been very interested to watch a historical perspective.
That was my next question.
Right. So in 2019 was the last time that the town clerk's office was on the ballot when Essie LeBreau ran for her last term. She ran unopposed, as I'm running this time unopposed. In that election, we've already issued more ballots than were issued in 2019. However, to date, the amount that were returned are probably about 50% of what were returned by election day. But we're still considerable
early.
period of time. Right, so I think we probably will surpass what we did in 2019. I have not looked at the numbers from 2021. The reason I'm looking at the 2019 compared to the 2023, we're basically looking at situations where we weren't dealing primarily with COVID situations, where there was a big upswing in people doing Dropbox and things of that nature.
But there's still, it's not, I guess not technically no excuse absentee balloting, but the reasons why you can vote by absentee ballot have been
right. So it did
expanded.
change. So COVID in the last municipal election was a valid reason. The legislature changed that. COVID's not listed as a reason to vote, but there is a thing called sickness or physical disability, being out of town, serving in the military.
service,
right.
religious reasons.
Right, exactly.
But it can be just, it still can be so
But
that sickness in the community,
the
right?
sickness can be, you have fear of getting COVID or, things of that. No one's going to question that. It's not our job to question if you're claiming sickness or mental trauma, dealing with the COVID situation. So what's really important is that people take the opportunity to cast their ballot for the people that make the decisions at the local level. Can't stress that enough. That's where we live. That's where a lot of decisions are made. This is your opportunity to have your voice heard.
It does surprise me that voter turnout is typically about half, maybe a little less than half what it would be.
So it's typically in the 30% or a little bit higher for a municipal election. For a state election, I think we're in the 70% range. And then when we get to the national election for president, West Hartford is typically high 80%. So it's an interesting scenario on how that all plays out. But West Hartford, though, when we look at our performance compared to other communities statewide, we're known as a community that issues a lot of absentee ballots. We're one of the few communities that issues as many absentee ballots as we do for a town of our size. So our electorate's very engaged. They want to participate. They understand the importance of voting, and they take that opportunity to do so.
Do you have any idea of kind of the demographics of who votes by absentee ballot? Is it college students? Is it people in assisted living facilities?
So we have about 10 places which are supervised voting locations. So typically we can get anywhere from 10 to 40 voters there. We do see a lot of people come in. I've seen in person come to apply for an absentee ballot who are a little older than myself, but I have seen people that are younger. Don't see a lot of college kids coming in. What I understood from my staff, having only been town clerk since April, is the college students seem to be the last minute inquiries, and what happens is if you wait too long, you'll get the ballot, but will you get
run
it
out of
back
time.
in time for
Yeah.
it to count?
Right.
So to those who have college students, today's a good day to start this inquiry.
And
So-
to
Today's the
apply
day to
online,
end,
right?
apply
Today's
online,
the day to
second-
end- good day to end it, like get it done.
Get
So-
it done, okay? This isn't like, there's no extension.
Right.
So this isn't
Oh,
like
yeah,
college
yeah.
professors going to give you an
Right.
extension. 8 o'clock on November 7th, that's the day.
So I grew up in Greenwich. A lot of questions, a lot of thoughts. I grew up in Greenwich, and one year it was, we'd select. They called it selectmen back then, select people, and there was one year where it was a 3-vote swing. And here, when you look, certainly within party, intra-party, you see there's some very, very close. Like Mary, I think only won by 15, or she won by a very small margin of votes over her second. Was at Al Cortez, and voting. My point is, voting really matters.
Right.
It's
So,
really, really
so
important.
I belong to the Connecticut Town Clerks Association, and we recently had a conference, and we were talking about this. And there have been communities across Connecticut where the election was decided by one vote.
Right.
And they went and they examined whether or not all the people who had voted by absentee ballot were alive on election day. And it was determined that one person had passed away prior, so that ballot was not counted. So it's really, really
Crazy
important.
stories.
You never, ever know. Okay? We haven't had that type of scenario here in West Hartford, but every ballot matters, every vote counts.
And do you know at what point is it close enough that it triggers an automatic recount?
There's a certain percentage on it. I don't remember if it was
Yeah, I
1%.
think
So
it's-
one,
I
half,
think
one
it-
half of 1%.
I
isn't it?
think
One-
it
I
might
think
be
it-
1%.
Oh.
or
Was
it could have been
high?
one
Yeah.
half of 1%. It
Yeah.
could be.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So back to these numbers, Leon, and we're here with Leon Davidoff, who is the town clerk for the town of West Hartford, talking about the upcoming election on November 7th. So do you think 859 ballots issued already for this election, which is more than was issued in total in 2019, is that a function of behavior change from COVID, or is that a function of people are more engaged? It seems like Ronnie's getting a ton of letters, more than I ever recall seeing, endorsing candidates, advocating for candidates. Do you think there's more interest in this election than there maybe have been in previous municipal elections?
I don't know if that's the case. I think the ease of getting it done early and getting it done because you don't have to worry about it on November 7th. Everybody seems to be very busy. Okay, so that might be a reason. And you just don't want to be in the scenario where you meant to vote but you didn't get out the chance to go vote that day. So there's a lot of varieties. I do think COVID has changed a lot of people's behaviors. And some people don't want to be around a lot of people, and they don't want to stand in a line inside a building on election day. So they prefer to avoid that. And we don't know what the weather's going to be. It could be a beautiful day, or it could be a pouring rainy day. So
Snowstorm.
We learned a few years ago
Right.
to be a snowstorm.
Right.
So.
right, Storm Alfred.
Yeah.
But so I don't really know precisely as to the reason, but there is some type of shift though as to people wanting to do that. And I think that can sort of be backed up by the willingness of the people of the state of Connecticut to endorse early voting. They're interested in having just more than one day to vote. As to the logistics of that and how that works out, that's going to fall upon the Registrar of Voters office, not the town clerk's office.
Right.
So, but that's going to present a whole different scenario, and what impact that has on absentee ballot voting is yet to be seen.
Okay.
So.
All right. Okay. We have two things we want to show the audience. Number one is a district map. Jen, can we pull that up? There we go. And let's leave it up for a couple minutes. We'll talk about it. So, and Leon, I'm sure you can chime in here. So, I love talking about this because this is a result of the U.S. Census.
2020 census.
Correct. And so what they do is the redistricting, they look at things from a national level, and then they look at things at a congressional level, and then they go to town level and they redistrict based on population movement. So this is a new map. It went into effect in 2021, I believe, right? I'm trying to remember if that's the case. It's tricky because the town committees, the Democrat and Republican, theirs don't go into effect until this March, which is kind of funny how that works out. But this is the district. So
I think it was actually, I think last year, 2022, was
Was
the
the
first
first?
year that
Okay.
people
Yeah,
voted
okay.
in their new polling places.
Okay.
And
Right. So as you'll notice on the map, there's a 1112. That we have 8 polling locations. We have 10 districts in town. Okay. So 1112, all those voters will vote at King Philip's Middle School. However, those who live in 11 vote using a different ballot than those who vote in 12. And then in 41 and 42, those voters vote at Charter Oak Academy. And but if you're in the 41 district, which is a very small piece,
Several hundred houses, that's it, right?
yeah, you'll vote you'll both all go to Charter Oak School, but you'll be not in the same line as somebody for 4-2. 4-1 voters
And
are
this
here.
is for, this is for congressional, this year, it would
this
be
is
the
for
same.
this is all the
and
time.
all the
year.
time.
This is all the time. So this is this municipal election. You can vote at. So let's talk about 4-2, 4-1, Charter Oak.
Right.
Okay. So
that's my district, actually.
okay. So yeah. Right. So Ronnie got redistricted because she didn't used to vote over at.
No, I
Charter
used to
Oak.
vote at Conard, and last year I had to vote at Charter
Right,
Oak.
for that state election. So when you go there, they're going to ask you, are you in 4-1 or 4-2? So if you do know your district, it's a little helpful to know that in advance.
At least
so
know
you
your street address.
know your street, and bring
You need to show your ID.
bring your ID with you. Okay,
Yeah,
those
definitely
are
bring
two
your
good
ID.
ideas. So what I learned for the first time this year was fascinating. Was each absentee ballot, okay, is printed by district. Okay, so there's a absentee ballot for 1-1. There's a different one for 1-2. There's a different one for District 2, and throughout all the districts. So that meant we had to print 10 versions of this ballot. Okay, and you had to order a certain number for each district. And the company that prints the ballots, there's a code on the ballot itself that when it goes into the tabulator, it will know and recognize that this is a ballot for District 1-2.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So another check on the system that if you're a 1-1 voter and you have a ballot that says 1-2 on it, it's not going to go through the tabulator. It's just not going to work.
Gotcha.
So from the standpoint, those, just in case people are getting confused by this discussion, it's really important to know where your polling place is.
Right. And you can
that
check
has
that
changed.
online. You can check that online.
Or it could have changed.
So
But
read it, oh, sorry, Ronnie.
no,
go
no,
ahead.
but the list of candidates in West Hartford, the same candidates are on the
right.
ballot in every single one of those 10
Right,
districts.
great point, Ronnie. So the candidates for town council, they appear on everybody's ballot. The candidate for town clerk appears on everyone's ballot. The candidates for Board of Education appears on everyone's ballot. Even though, if you notice in their sample ballot up on the screen, it says District 1-8, okay? So it's...
District 1 would be, is it Larson, 8th District? Is that, or is it an AB? Oh, never mind, I won't get
No,
into
no.
it.
No. That's
No.
a town West Hartford ballot.
Yeah.
It's those who are in District 8.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
That's what I was-
Who vote at Hall High School. That would be the ballot that they would use. So the ballot that you get issued at Hall High School is the exact same ballot that you would get issued at Conard or Sedgwick or KP or Bristol. Okay. So the ballots are all the same. It's the district number that's different.
Right.
But all the candidates appear also in the same position on the ballot. And the position of how the candidates appear on the ballot was determined by lottery in early September.
So there's nothing, it doesn't tie into number of votes somebody had previously, number of elections, that sort of thing.
No, not at all.
So,
And it's not
okay.
alphabetical either.
Right.
Yep.
And then I think it's really important to let the voters know, I think this is a very important point. So for town council, I believe we have 6.
There's 11 candidates
11
altogether.
candidates. Okay, so 11 candidates. It will say vote for up to 6. You can pick any 6 of the 11. You can vote for people side by side. You can vote for people in the same row. So don't get confused by that. As long as you don't shade in more than 6 votes
For town council.
for town council, 4 is 6 for town council. But they can be anywhere in that, I call it the grid of town council candidates. And when you move over to town clerk, there's just one person you can vote for.
Good guy here too.
Thank you.
Good guy.
But when we get to the Board of Education, and this is important to point out, there's two grids if you look at it. There's 6 candidates who are seeking a 4-year term, 2 from each of the parties on the ballot. So you can pick up to 2. And then in the far right column, it says you can vote for up to 1. And like the town clerk's row, that person is running unopposed. So it's fair to say, as we're taping this show today, that the person running for town clerk and the person running in the last row have been basically elected. They just need 1 vote to be elected.
And the reason for that is he's running to complete the term, the unexpired portion of the term that somebody had vacated during
That's correct.
During the existing
right. So
session.
The council, we don't have that issue. Right. The board, hopefully, moving forward, we can get to the point where people get elected for a 4-year term and stay for the 4 years. Yep. Okay. Yep. Because we have an entire chart in the town clerk's office, and we sort of map out when you were elected, who replaced you, is this an unexpired term, and we have to really keep track of that because
we're going to talk about that in our special show, Leon After Dark. We're going to tape at midnight tonight. So.
But yeah, no, it is really fascinating. And when somebody resigns or gets appointed, we have to notify the Secretary of State's office immediately that this person resigned, who filled their seat, the date that it was, both the resignation and the appointment were effective. And they keep track of this because who's running, what party they're on, so that we don't have any issues in terms of accuracy of offices to be elected, right, as determined by, in our case, our town charter, which dictates the length of terms for municipal office.
Well, we were kidding before the show, looking at that ballot, if I were town clerk, I think it would keep me awake at night, making sure that every single person was in the right spot.
And I'll also share with you, you need to make certain that their names are spelled properly. So when somebody's nominated at the convention, they fill out a form how they want their name to appear on the ballot. So once you sign that form, it's submitted. That's how your name appears on the ballot. So then what we did this year, because I like to be overly cautious, because you really have no room for error in elections, you really don't. We sent to each of the party chairs a proof of the ballot to confirm that we have spelled all the candidates that they have nominated their names properly. It would just be a terrible embarrassment to have the names spelled incorrectly, or we didn't have them, or we're missing somebody, or overlooked something. So a lot of double checks there, but there's a lot of things that people don't understand. How we get to absentee ballots, how we get to election day. There's a lot of steps in place just from the town clerk's office. Right now we're issuing today or tomorrow what's calling a warning of the upcoming election. It basically says that the town of West Hartford is going to be conducting an election. It's a legal notice basically. It says you're going to vote for the office of town council, town clerk, board of education. These are the polling places where people will vote. These are the hours of voting. It will also say where the absentee ballots, where in town hall they're going to be counted, what time that commences. And then there's another component, EDR, okay, which is people who vote on election day. So that's a totally different color ballot to make this thing work. So people will notice that absentee ballots are yellow. The regular ballots will be white when you go to the polls. And my understanding that the EDR ballots are pink. And there's a reason to this madness, because there needs to be a check when we're all done in tabulating to make certain that everything matches up. If we issued X amount of absentee ballots, we're not looking in the sack that's the ones that were cast at the polling place. We know we're just looking at yellow ballots. And it's very, very important. So the chain of custody of ballots is very important, that we don't lose anybody's ballot, that every single ballot is accounted for. And the computer system that we use, that's we call it CVRS, Connecticut Voter Registry System, is very, very complete. We log in what day we issued the ballot, we log in, ballot's been received. This way, we can't issue a duplicate ballot to somebody. So that's very important.
And the ballots are not opened until election
Absentee
day.
ballots will not be turned over to the Register of Voters until election day. And we have to tell them this is how many we turned over, and they'll sign off that they've received
That
this many ballots.
Right.
So it's very, very important. And I've made a point of it, since my name is on the ballot this year, not to touch ballots. When someone comes to vote in person, I have one of my clerks touch those ballots. Okay, it's just not appropriate. So I just don't want any appearance of impropriety.
And they're kept in a vault.
Every single night, the vault is locked, and they're kept in the vault.
I've been in that vault. It's rather impressive.
I've actually been in the vault too. That was, in fact, after having been, locked out of town hall for COVID, my first time back at town hall was meeting with your predecessor to talk about the absentee ballot process for the 2020 presidential election, and we took some photos in the vault just to see what it looked like in there, and.
I haven't let any member of the public in,
Oh.
in the vault. So
Well, that was during COVID.
I'm kind of
sorry.
surprised to hear
Sorry.
this, because I really don't want to have any third parties inside the vault. I'm
I
trying
stood
to avoid.
in the doorway.
Okay, stood in the doorway. That's
There you
good.
go. Yeah, me too.
No, I really did stand
Me
in the
too.
doorway.
Because it's very important.
Yeah.
Election integrity is very important. Okay, there's a lot of people who question what happens in elections, and let's go back to the ballot boxes. Okay, so there is not a state law that requires ballot boxes to be under camera surveillance. Let the residents of West Hartford know, both of our cameras, we have cameras at both locations, and our ballot boxes are under surveillance. Okay, we're not monitoring it 24/7, but it is taping, and if something goes awry and if people do see something suspicious,
Report it.
please report it. Right, you see something, say something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
No question. All right, one more time, Jen, let's bring up the districts. I want to make one more, the districts. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've been down this road. I guess we've had one primary and I guess one election now using the new districts. And if we can get water out here too, Jen, that'd be great. So most folks, I think, are aware of their new polling location. This map is available on the town clerk page of the website, on the West Hartford website. Give us a little direction where it is. Then we're going to look at one more thing.
I think you can find it on the Register of Voters page too.
Okay, so it's there, and it's there's a PDF you can print in color. It's high resolution. It's beautiful. We found it this morning when we were just doing our routine show prep. And then the other thing I want to point out to folks. Oh, sorry, Ronnie. You have one more thing? Oh, okay. We're going to get Ronnie some water here.
I got it.
There we go. So the other thing I want to point out is there is a really neat on the WHCI website. There's a really neat interactive ballot, so you can go to the website, check out the ballot for this election, and then as you click on each candidate, it brings up the candidate profile that WHCI did for each candidate. And I beg your pardon?
We just need a minute because they ran to get water.
So, we're good. So,
I got my own. I got it.
professional stuff here. So, anyway.
Live recording.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. It's part of the fun. So we don't need to bring that up, but if you do it from a desktop, You don't need to don't do it from your phone. It's much more effective on the desktop. But check it out, the WHCI TV. You can Google search it, go to their website, and you can check out their interactive ballot. And it's really interesting. Get to learn something about all the candidates running for office and get a better feel of maybe perhaps who you want to vote for.
Right. So we know that WHCI, formerly Channel 5, has been a great source of information about all things local, and especially our candidates and our council and our board. They cover all the meetings. You can see it in real time, and you don't catch it real, you can catch it on YouTube now. But the information that they provide and the service that they provide in terms of having candidates tell a little about themselves is so valuable, because the reality is that candidates cannot obviously knock on every single door in West Hartford, introduce themselves to you. So this is probably the next best thing. And Ronnie through weha.com also gives the candidates to provide a profile, so you can catch that. Google weha.com, and you'll see a bunch of these candidate profiles.
Just about all of them are posted at this point, right?
Every single one of them is actually posted
Right.
now. Everybody has, all 19 candidates have returned their questionnaires. They're all posted right before Election Day. I'll put together one article, what you need to know to vote in West Hartford. and it'll have links to all of those candidate profiles. Some of the candidates actually link to their WHCI video, candidate profile video in their candidate profile that they sent back to me. I don't edit those, so if the candidates put it in there, I've published it, but I tell everyone in advance, this is your questionnaire, this is your profile. Check it carefully, because the only thing I will edit it for is format it to make sure it fits in our template, but I don't fix typos, I don't fix capitalization or anything like that. It's whatever you want to put in there.
And since West Hartford, I always think of it as a small knit community, even though we're at 64,000 residents, okay, with about 40-something thousand voters. I would encourage people to, if you have a question of a candidate, reach out to them, email them or call them, okay? Because these are the people that are going to be making decisions that affect your everyday life. And that's how it should really be. We're a representative government. These people are seeking your support. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone or send them an email to get clarification on their view. I think that's really, really important. This way you can ask the question that may have not been answered. And we'll be better off that way. We really will be. It's a great place to live. It's a community that comes together, that likes to, people enjoy living here, and because of the quality of life. And the people that are elected to the Town Council and Board of Education are making lots of decisions about the quality of life
Right,
here.
it's important to day to day. It impacts your
I think
taxes, it
I think
impacts
it's more
your
important.
services.
Yeah, that was my point,
Right.
Leanne. I think you nailed it. It's the folks that sit in the council chambers, which is 100 feet away from us, have more of an impact on my life than the folks that sit in Washington. The people that sit in Washington maybe make more noise and maybe, are the shiny object, to use your term. But
Right.
these folks are going to impact your life on a day-to-day basis. Get involved. At the very least, vote.
Absolutely. And you know what? Having been a candidate for town council for many times, I really liked hearing from people and addressing their concerns and just saying, yeah, this is my point of view, or listening to what their point of view was. It makes you a better representative. The ability to listen, the ability to think, you come to a more reasonable, prudent thought process. And I think that's important. I think it's really, really important. So I can't stress enough. West Hartford, we are a great community. On November 7th, let's show the rest of the state of Connecticut that we do care and we want to be involved. Get out and vote. Vote for the candidates that reflect your values and your plan and your vision for West Hartford. There's a lot of choices. There's differing opinions on how to get there. But the most powerful thing that we have is the right to vote. And it's too late if you do it on November 8th.
I think you just closed the show. So thank you for that.
That's perfect.
So,
Thank you.
thank you for watching. For Ronnie, I'm John Lyons, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.